Our guest today has been on that American soccer content grind for a long, long time. He started the Best Soccer Show in 2011 with Jared Dubois, and they're still at it, reacting to USMNT rosters and matches on YouTube. Check that out. He hosts a 3 times a week show called The Morning Kick Around, which is sort of a more general interest American soccer show. He authors a newsletter called The Soccer Eagle, and mainly he co-hosts Winalda Talks Football on Sirius XM. So he's a busy guy, and we appreciate his time. Jason Davis, welcome to Scuffed.
Thank you for having me, gentlemen. Very cool to have the invite. I'm glad to be here.
So we're gonna get into we got Vince here too. Vince, how are you doing this Monday morning?
Oh, I'm doing great, Belz. Had a great weekend. Um, you know, Mexico. I'm gonna bring this up. Mexico won the battle in the Gold Cup. Beat us in the Gold Cup final. But we got redemption this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. If you were paying attention, Canelo Alvarez lost. I repeat, lost
Damn.
to Bud Crawford. Some people say he got his A word beat. So yeah, I just had to bring that up, and I think Santi missed another chance for AC Milan. So a bad week for fair-skinned Mexicans. Thank you.
Okay.
I like how you got that on the record. I appreciate it, Vince. I do.
So we're gonna get into the other weekend action shortly, but first, I thought, Jason, your discussion of World Cup tickets and whether you're going to go to the games or go to a watch party with Jay Rodius was good food for thought for me. Can you kind of give us the rundown of what's going on with buying World Cup tickets and what are the challenges?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on this.
Well, compared to me, you are.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's fair. And we did do on Morning Kick Around, we did have an actual expert, this guy who goes by Travel Football, the Spanish word, fan. You can find him. He's got good stuff. He was walking us through. This was like a day before the first round of applications. Like, this is the thing that is insane to me. And like, I get it. It's a massive event, games all over the continent. You got to kind of manage it. But like, I'm applying to buy tickets.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? Like, that part is such a strange thing to me. And so we picked his brain and he's like, Visa card holders get first crack. If you're not a Visa card holder, you got to wait. There's the first round, the second round, phase or something. He's talking about phases and all this. And I think obviously for me, having written about and talked about soccer for a long time, it's really hard to kind of just stomach where this stuff has gone, like, and how FIFA has kind of just messed it up for everybody. It used to be Sepp Blatter was just an idiot and would say something stupid about, women playing in short shorts or whatever, and we'd be mad about it. And we knew that there was money being handed out in paper bags and stuff like that, but it didn't feel like we were necessarily being squeezed quite the same way we're being squeezed now. I know this is like all of life. Like, everything is about exploitation now, and FIFA has just jumped on board. And the fact that, number one, it's a complicated process. Number two, they're doing dynamic pricing, which people might not even know what that is, I guess, but that's just basically like, the price is not static. It is going to change depending on how many people are interested in that particular game at that particular moment. They're doing it for airline tickets too now. It's insane. Like, you don't know like how to get the right price. The fact that they're willing to do that is because they're doing it here. They wouldn't do it anywhere else. I don't think anybody else would have a stomach for it, including Mexico, who has laws against it, which means if you go to a game in Mexico and you have to be a Mexican national to get these benefits, they don't do dynamic pricing.
Right.
And there is no secondary market the way there's going to be a secondary market here. And so it sort of cracks open the whole thing. Like, it's no longer about like, it's for the good of the game. No, it's for the good of FIFA. And that sucks because the last time we had one of these, I was 15 years old and not paying attention to the game the way I should have, and didn't get my parents to take me. Probably wasn't living near a game. Now I'm established middle-aged man with cash to throw at it if I want to. And I'm not enthusiastic about it. Like, even
are you
for
going to
the
do
US
it?
games.
Are you going to go?
Well, I'm not typical in another way, which is that because of the radio job, there's a chance that I'm going to be pulled around doing different stuff. Like, it may be a work thing for me. And so I know that's like, on some level, that's a privilege. And I don't want people to be like, oh, lucky you. I think I would buy tickets, or I would seriously consider doing it if I wasn't in the job. but I'm in the job. So it's kind of like that thing of like, should I, and that means I get to kind of sit on top of my mountaintop and talk bad about the process because I'm not directly engaged with it. And I feel for anybody who really wants to go to games, right? And who really wants to see the U.S. men's national team play a home soil in a World Cup, because that's going to be a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah. I'm really torn about it. Go ahead, Vince.
Well, I have to say, I hopped in the Discord because I saw somebody saying something in one channel. They were like, where are we talking about World Cup tickets at? And then it was in a whole separate channel that I hadn't accessed yet in the Discord. So I hop in. I'm like, what's going on in here, man? What y'all doing? I see y'all talking about, I see a lot of loading screens. People are posting screenshots of loading screens or whatever. I'm like, I'm like, what's going on? They were like, yeah, we're just applying to have the right to get some tickets. And I'm like, oh, okay. I just logged off.
I saw some people posting loading screens too in like one of our communities or something. And literally they were like, I sat here for like 45 minutes waiting for it to say that my application had gone through or whatever. Right. And again, this is not even buying tickets. This is just putting your name on a list so you have the possibility of buying tickets down the road. And like luckily for Mexico, Canada, and U.S. fans, we know where the games are going to be. We don't know who we're playing yet, but we do know where the games are going to be, so people can make their accommodations. And that is the thing too, right? The U.S. is playing out west, and I live on the East Coast. So if I was interested in this, the other part of it is like, oh, I got to buy tickets, and then dynamic pricing might mean I'm paying $100 per ticket, and it depends on like, am I taking my family? Am I going by myself?
And then the plane's
do
dynamic,
I want the plane's dynamic, the hotel prices
dynamic.
Come on. I mean, we're talking about your vacation budget for like a quarter century, like a decade, like depending on your family and what you got. Like if you're spending $10,000 to maybe go to one game, if you're taking like 2 or 3 or 4 people, like if you wanted to take your kids, like if you're in that position in your life, and I got a 4-year-old who's a little bit too young for it. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, and it's what it should be. Like it should be that opportunity for us to continue to put seeds in the ground and grow soccer fans. And I don't know.
It doesn't feel like that's what it is. No. The only thing that's not dynamic right now is the U.S. men's national team. so I want to know how. No, that's a little bit of a low blow. I think we're on the cusp of dynamism. But how are you feeling? How are you feeling right now, Jason?
It's wild how that one game against Japan just changed the whole attitude. Like I said on Blue Sky, it kind of reminded me like of an allergy commercial. Like in the beginning, they're like, and they can't breathe, and then they take the Claritin or whatever, and the skies are blue and everything is and I can breathe. And it felt like that. I think you guys and me, like we don't want to jump all the way to like everything's great. Like we want to be, smart about this and discerning about what we witnessed, and like, does Poach really know what he's doing? Like, I still don't know if Poach really knows what he's doing. But we saw at least like some joy on the field. Like they looked like they were playing together, and it was fun. But there's just so many unknowns, right? Like because he used this window as a sandbox, and he was bringing in all these guys that, good for Tristan Blackman. I don't think Tristan Blackman's going to a World Cup. So, what can I take away from this experience? It's all limited. And I don't think he cares at all whether it's hard for us. No. But we have to hold on to something. And that's the problem with the national team, because it's a stone skipped across the water. And those ripples, they're big for us, but they don't really matter that much right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, like Jason, you illustrated the feeling perfectly, because I went to New York, right? Went to the match in Harrison, New Jersey, the South Korea match.
Yeah.
And I'm in New York for, let's say, less than 48 hours or right about 48 hours. I come home, I got a wife, kids, family, whatever. So I come back Sunday, home Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday comes around. I'm like, am I driving these 3 hours to go to Columbus?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm slow playing it. I'm off work. It's like it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11, 12 goes by. I'm like, you know what, Vince, you got to get in the car, man. If you're gonna get past the Cincinnati traffic, I'm like, you got to go. I waited to the last second, about like 1 p.m. I was like, you know what, Vince, let's just do it, man. I go, meet some people, some Scuff listeners, people from Discord, whatever. That was cool. But I mean, the match, like I didn't realize how much I needed it, how
Yeah.
much I had been missing this hit of endorphins until, I sat down, watched the game, and to watch that performance, it really re-energized me in a way that, I mean, I wasn't expecting, first of all, because it was like, this is the harder match of the two in this window. And yeah, it was a great surprise, and also just something that really just put a battery in my back for a little bit.
Yeah, but again, we as soon as we saw the lineup for Japan, we're like, oh, okay. Well, what does this even, if we win this game, what does it mean? Now, I mean, they brought on the heavy hitters in the second half, right? And we were still good. Like, we're still good. We
got
maybe
better.
even better.
We got better after they
Maybe
brought
better.
the heavy.
But I don't, again, sort of it's like trying to analyze what that means. Like, okay, well, did Japan get thrown off a bit by bringing in these players who are a little bit more dynamic, going to want more of the ball, going to kind of change the approach for them? Does it mean a lot that we were better when they brought on the Minaminos and those players? Again, like that's what this period under Poach has done. It's left us feeling kind of adrift with how to feel about it. And I talked to so many people, national team guys who played in World Cups, who would say none of this matters. It doesn't matter right now. We don't even know who's going to be healthy for the World Cup. That's obviously true. But as a fan, as somebody who's not thinking about it like, oh, let him cook, he's got to figure it out, give him some space. I just want something to hold on to. I just want like a little bit of joy to say I can feel, because it's so easy for us as national team fans. And there's so much of this right now. It's hard not to get sucked into this idea like, oh, we're getting grouped. It's so bad. We're getting grouped. It's going to be terrible. And even if you can rationally make the argument without knowing who's in our damn group, like you don't even know who's in our group. You're talking about getting grouped. Even if you can make that argument, guys, like I don't want to be thinking. That's not how I want to be thinking about the World Cup. And since I don't have a time machine and I can't predict the future, let me live in the belief that we're not getting grouped and that we're going to be fine and we can maybe even make a run and win some knockout games. Like, let me believe that. And so as long as there's nothing that even a positive fan can point to, like, look, they did something good. It's hard, right? Because it's a home World Cup. It's a home World Cup.
Was there nothing in the nothing concrete that you could pull from the Japan game that you thought that's something we can build on?
No, I do. I think, well, obviously the formation switch, right? Which that had happened in the South Korea match towards the end, right?
Right.
We got to look at a back three. And when we talked about this roster for the best soccer, Jared Dubois is an adherent of the back three. Like, he just loves that system to begin with.
Yeah, I picked up on that.
He's a defender from his playing days, high school and stuff. So, but he appreciates a back three. Like, Michael Parkhurst is his favorite player because he thinks he's the perfect center back for a back three. Right. That's how his brain. And he's an old head, so he goes back to those days. But he made the argument. He looked at the roster. He said, "This is a roster for a back three." And I was like, playing devil's advocate, trying to make it interesting. Like, oh yeah, why do you think that? What is it? And honestly, when you look at it, there just wasn't a lot. I mean, the fullbacks that are in the team are wingbacks, or at least more suited to play wingback than fullback. Certainly, Max Arfston's not a fullback. Period. And end of story. So I went with him on it. I just didn't know if we were going to see it. And then we got a little bit of it in the South Korea game, and they improved a bit. And then he rolled it out against Japan. Now, again, maybe you guys have a better sense of this than me. Is he committed to it? Or is this something where he's going to be, is he going to be scheming per opponent? No, today we need a back four, but in this game, we need a back three. What does the midfield look like? You're matching Japan because they played the same system, essentially.
Right.
If you're not matching players over all over the field, does that mean you stay committed to it? And again, obviously, Tristan Blackman notwithstanding, people are like, do we have the depth at center back to do this? Once you get, we were trying to put together a 23. I know it might be 26, but we tried to put together a 23 in the Best Soccer Show for the World Cup as of right now. And once you get past Ream and Richards, center back gets pretty dire. It gets a little scary. So yeah, that's the issue for me.
That is a real issue. It's just, it kind of made everybody look a little more free and better. Like across the board, so maybe you put in a somewhat dire option at center back just to make everybody else look better.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the problem, right? Sorry, Vince. I mean, yeah, that's the problem. It's like you can give here, but you might you lose something else somewhere else on the field. Like it's going to have a knock-on effect, but like, is this a net positive when you consider that? And people have thrown out maybe Jedi plays center back, and you still have an Arston type as a wing back. And we like Jedi, but he's a traditional fullback in the system he usually plays and has played for the U.S. men's national team. So if he's an overlapping fullback, do you even want him trying to play as a wing back? So there are things there.
Could be an underlapping center back,
Yeah.
Gotti style.
Yeah. There are possibilities, right? But the mind spins, and then we go, well, where are we? Do we have time? Do we have time to sort this all out, guys?
Yeah, that is
that's
the
a big
question.
But to the is Poch committed to it thing. So in the press conference, he kind of talked about the fact that the formation that we started out with at South Korea was probably a little bit too complicated for the players based on the amount of time that he's been with the team and the group that he had. And so he said he went to this, he matched Japan, right, with the formation to simplify things for the players. And so, I know that doesn't give a lot to him being committed, but what I took from it though is that he's learning things. He's learning things, right? He's new in this role as a national team coach after being a club manager for this amount of time. So what that tells me, I think, is that he maybe won't hesitate to match a different opponent going forward, instead of doing whatever lyrical miracle he was trying to do against South Korea.
And that was the thing about the Berhalter era, was constantly wondering if he was just making it too damn complicated all the time, and that he, or at least trying to be granular when that's not the best approach at the international level, and just demanding sometimes, say, Greg, just keep it simple. Like, come on, you don't have a lot of time with these guys. They're coming in and out. You got injuries that are affecting what your first 11 looks like. Why would you make it complicated? And I think that psychologically, and I'm fascinated by this, even though we can't know, Berhalter was a striver, right? He's an American coach. Unless you are one of the lucky few, for American coaches, the national team is the top of the mountain. It doesn't go any higher than that. So you want to prove something. And so when you want to prove something, you overthink it. And I think Berhalter's kind of that way anyway. Whereas maybe if we're lucky, Pochettino recognizes maybe this is the moment the clarity comes where he's like, oh, yeah, I can't make this complicated. I don't have the time with these guys. And he doesn't have to prove anything because he's already been at higher levels of the game on the club side. Maybe that's a thing. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I'm hoping.
Yeah, what's the only I guess the only Bob Bradley had his very, very brief stint at Swansea, right? And then Jesse Marsh flew too close to the sun in his extremely tight gray jeans.
That's right.
And that's it. So I guess one thing I want to get your thought on that.
I mean, Pellegrino Matarazzo. Let's not leave out. People get real picky about that.
That's true.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I guess I wanted to get your
David Wagner. Have you said that one? I'm sorry, Belz. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. You're right. I
dude at Brighton. What's his name?
Check.
Wertzler, is that one?
Hertzler, yeah. Fabian Hertzler. Yeah.
On the striker situation, I'm curious what your thoughts are, because for me, and I think I can speak for Vince too, and for Greg, we were so pleased with the way Ballo played against Japan. Like, I'll speak for myself here. The thing that I like about him the most is he's a formidable opponent for opposing center backs. He's somebody that they have to deal with, and he's a handful. And I just don't think you can say that about how Josh Sargent has played for the national team. And I think maybe the jury's still out a little bit on Pepe. Yeah. But Ballo, he creates, with that quality of his, he creates room for everybody else to operate. And I think
there's no perfect guy, right? No, they all have their flaws, obviously. I mean, Sargent's flaws that he simply cannot get chances and score goals for the national team, or he just can't put the ball in the net when he plays for the national team. I think people, you talk to soccer people, Sargent's the most well-rounded of the entire group. Like, he can do a lot of things pretty well, which is why he succeeds at the championship level, which is a pretty damn good level. But if you're talking about actually putting the ball in the net and maybe bringing a little bit more of that dynamic quality, that's what Balogun has that Sargent doesn't. He's certainly more dynamic than Sargent is, and he's physically imposing. And you saw it on the weekend with the goal he helped set up for Monaco. Like, I was just thinking about that before you asked the question, Bells, because I think the goal he scored against Japan is obviously an example of that too, right? He uses his physicality well to create the space so he can take the shot. That's a good finish. And the one thing I would say is, like, I think Pepe's the best finisher of the bunch. That for me, he's the best finisher, but he does lack some of the other things that Balogun brings to the table. So if we're just talking about what that race looks like right now, Balogun is top of the list. And I don't even think it necessarily needed the goal to make that true, but it certainly makes it easier to say Balo's the guy. Look at what he did.
Yeah.
But man, I gave such a triumphant fist pump when that goal did go in the back of the net in Columbus, because I was just like, man, he's balling right now, but like I like just give me a goal at the end of it. And yeah, once that thing finally at the back of the net, but with the system that Poch is running, where it asks the center forwards to be dynamic, it asks that of the center forwards. We saw it in the Gold Cup with Big Pat.
I mean, the offense is built around Big Pat, basically.
Yeah, like the center forward is the line stretcher, is the person running channels, all that stuff. And I think just when you talk about, obviously, I'm not disagreeing with you on Pepe's ability to finish chances. I think I do agree, but yeah, can him and Sargent? That's the main question. Is like, can you be that leader of the line that Poch is truly asking these center forwards to be? And it's
I mean, I think we knew like that Balogun had the talent when we all went nuts over his choice, right? When we're tracking him in Orlando, it's because we know that he's got that pedigree. I mean, it obviously helps that he came through at Arsenal, and everybody goes, "Oh, look, he came through at Arsenal." By the way, I saw Gideon Zalalem play soccer this weekend in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Just a name. But Balogun coming out of Arsenal had us all hyped up. Obviously, his choice. Like, we're doing that tracking flights and Instagrams and all that stuff. And I think that overhypes him a little bit. Obviously, he hadn't gotten his landing spot because Arsenal wasn't going to put him in their team, which, if he was truly that level, he'd be playing for Arsenal, right? We wouldn't have any question at all. But it's obviously been like a betting in period in France, or in Monaco rather. I think it's been a thing for him to kind of get adjusted, and injuries and all that stuff. But I think the top end talent, like in terms of, you look at like where they come from and what they've done. Yeah, I mean, he's the guy. He should be the guy, and maybe confidence is part of that. And the system, if the system benefits his talents, then we might have our guy. We might.
Yeah. Okay. I took a lot of encouragement from that personally, but some questions from listeners. Adam in Chicago asks you, Jason, how certain are we that Max Arston won't start over a healthy Jedi at the World Cup?
I'm not certain at all. No. I think what we learned is that Poch loves him some Max Arston. Like, really, really loves him some Max Arston. Willing to even put him in positions where he's uncomfortable defending because of what else he can do. And he is very good. I know Columbus turned down an offer for him. I can't remember who it was. Was it Middlesbrough, who just wants to pick out every Columbus player and get their hands on, apparently? I like Max Arston, but that he is a specific kind of player as a wing back in that system. And if there is a commitment, or if it is, hey, our personnel works best for this, Max Arston very well could start over Jedi. Right? At least it would be an option that I think if you were like talking about 3 group stage games, depending on the opponent, you could see Jedi starting 2 and Max Arston getting a start in a third or something like that, depending on the absolute situation. For sure,
that sounds right to me. Yeah,
and it should be like that. By the way, it should be like that. Like this thing that we do where we're like, oh, what's the first 11 for the U.S. men's national team? That's a red herring. There's no such thing as a firm first 11. You might put Pulisic on every team you make, but there are going to be spots where you're like, well, that guy's maybe not perfect for this kind of situation. Or if we're going to go up against a team that has massive amounts of possession compared to us, do we really want Max Arston on the field? Like that, those are questions.
Right. Yeah, have him defending 1v1 like 17 times in the game. Exactly. Probably not.
Yeah.
Just real quick before we move on to the next question, I just do want to say Jedi hasn't been around for a while now, dealing with injury and whatnot. But when we've seen him under Poch has used him in very creative ways. We saw Jedi underlap, in that one Jamaican match, Poch's first match against Canada. It was actually Jedi leading the line. he was the one that we were dumping all the balls over the top to, and I thought was
That's true, yeah.
probably our best player in that match and created that goal that Yunus Musa scored.
Yeah,
So
I don't think this is about like, oh, Jedi's not good enough, Vince. It's just
right.
yeah, having options, right? We know Jedi's good. I mean, in fact, you're talking about probably the best player, like better than Christian over a certain period of time for the national team. Like if last year you got Jedi Robinson's the best U.S. men's national team player we've got.
Yeah, and there's also, like you said earlier, Jason, there's the love affair between Poch and Arvston, which I think is a factor here. He really does love him a lot. Calvin in Albuquerque. Ooh, little coincidence there. There's been a lot of discussion around team vibes dynamics since the summer. What's your impression of how those have changed since the beginning of Poch's tenure?
Well, I don't think that it's one of those things. It's funny because we made so much out of Pulisic and Weah and the new generation against the old guys.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm kind of in the middle of that, working with an old guy who was not on the old guy side. He was more on the Pulisic side of that. Eric was always saying, that those older guys need to shut up. Now he's got some maybe personal axes to grind in that regard too. I'm saying too much, hopefully. But it was interesting to kind of see that, because that, as dumb as that all was, and I really think it was pretty dumb.
Stupid.
It also is one of those like we rallied together kind of things for the team, like for the players and for Poch too. Like, I wonder how Poch actually interacts with his team, because Argentine coaches are sort of notorious for being like, there are hard lines between the coaching staff and the players, and we don't really do this mix and match. We're all rah thing. Like, I'm sure Poch gives team speeches. I mean, that's not a thing everybody does, but I remember hearing when Tata Martino was in Atlanta, like just how culture shock it was when coaches don't go in the players' dressing room in Argentina. It's like not a thing.
Huh.
And so I didn't know like how that was going to work with the American player. And of course, the team is not all sort of American by upbringing, but like that vibe stuff is always probably overstated on our end, right? It's probably always like we're reading too much into what's going on. And again, they're not together all that often. They may be in WhatsApp groups and stuff, but I don't think they're talking about this in their WhatsApp groups, not at 22 and 23 and 24 years old. That's not what they're talking about. So, yeah, I think the vibes was mainly about us, the fans, and how we feel about the team. And things can change so much in 6-8 months. And by the time we get to May, I don't know that any of that is going to matter. Like, I don't even know if what happens in the warm-up friendlies is going to matter all that much to what happens at the World Cup. If they lose or something, like sometimes one match is not even really connected to the next one.
I think one thing that I mean, that may be true, but I do think winning is good for vibes.
Yeah, sure. That is true. That is true. Yeah.
So the losing the way we got spanked by Switzerland, lost the game to Turkey, we go and play the Gold Cup games and sort of muddle our way through Guatemala and and then lose to Mexico, and then we come and we lose to South Korea in kind of I would say a shameful manner, and that's got to be bad for vibes, I would think. And
well, okay, but that might be true. But again, I guess one thing that I don't know is how much that carries over camp to camp when you're turning over 10, 12, 15 players.
Yeah, fair enough.
Right? Like if we have a bad window or a bad tournament the way we did in the summer and Christian's not there or Weston's not there or whatever, Gio's certainly not there. We can talk about Gio. And then
we're going to talk about Gio.
I know. When we get to the World Cup, all those guys are there. I mean, obviously I'm jumping ahead and there's still windows between now and then, but like, I guess what I'm saying is like, we don't do A team and B team. We kind of just pick whatever's of the moment. Obviously the fans respond to call ups in a pretty excitable way, but I don't know that what I'm not sure about is like if the vibes carry over, if it's not sort of the A team that called up. that got called up. If we're not thinking of this as like this is a competitive window, we got to win these games. Therefore, we're calling up the absolute best 23, 25, 26 players we can, versus this window, which was like shout out to Nathan Harriel, that kind of thing.
Right. All right. So go ahead.
Well, Jason, let me ask you this: Did you think? I guess a lot of people have said in the Gold Cup that some like mentality issues with the team were fixed or whatever. Did you buy any of that?
That mentality issues were fixed.
Well, that the team had a problem in the first place. That the hustle heart wasn't there.
Yeah,
and all that, like that whole narrative.
Really, really skeptical about that talking point that they don't care. Now, look, I do radio for a living, and it kind of pays to be a little hyperbolic sometimes. And you get into like, let's just play this up because it gets people excited. And like we all, I'm not immune to this, right? I'm not pretending not to be a fan who gets attached to the idea that, or feels a response to the idea they don't care. Because I care. So I want them to care like I care. And if I get any hint that they don't care like I care, I'm going to be yelling about it. So I think that's the part of where I'm skeptical that there's this real sense that like, and again, I come back to the old guys versus young guys thing and the beef. I think the old guys are just so it's across life. Older people just yell about younger people. This is what we do. This is how culture, this is how humanity has worked for thousands of years. So why would it be any different for this? Right. And again, I think it's also circumstance. Like some of the older guys, not all of them, but some of these older guys didn't get opportunities that these players have. And they're jealous of those they're envious of those opportunities that those players. Like if I grew up now, I'd be in Europe just like Weston McKennie is in Europe, or just like Tim Way is in Europe. And instead, I grew up in the 90s. But see, that's the thing, Belz. You can't, there's no data to prove that Tab Ramos wouldn't have been playing Champions League football, but all those guys believe he could have if he wasn't American, or maybe if he didn't get hurt at the exact wrong time, that kind of stuff. Like that's always part of the story too. So
I'm just thinking of Landon Donovan's time at Leverkusen, which was mostly him just being homesick the whole time. So,
in terms of like players, but that's
like
he did,
he got a chance. He had a chance to go.
But now we're going to get to and obviously Tim Howard's part of the story too, and he's on that show at Landon, and he got his opportunity to play in Europe.
Yeah, but he did well. So
I do think that there's also the part that you cannot separate from a lot of this is that a lot of those people, now some of the fans were yelling about it, and that's different. But some of these guys that are the former national teamers that are yelling about it are also as Mark Pulisic correctly said, as much as I don't like some of the stuff he's done, as Mark Pulisic correctly said, they try to get them clicks.
Of course. Right? Yeah.
So Landon,
which also Mark Pulisic tried to do with,
of course, that's the thing. We're all Spider-Man meme. We're all Spider-Man meme. We are. That's it. I mean, I don't think you guys do that as a rule here, which I appreciate. And I don't think Best Soccer Show is a little bit more casual once a week, and so we don't lean into those storylines as much as I think some other things do. But again, especially the guys that are like trying to make something happen on YouTube, trying to make something happen with a podcast, they're willing to say it. I will say that Tony Viola has been pretty even keel about all of this, and he's part of that older group. Again, Eric has been like, let Christian take a break. It's fine. He needs to be ready for the World Cup. Who cares what's happening now? Like, it's a long season, all those things. There are guys that it's not all the same. Tab Ramos, Marcelo Balboa was certainly more like, everything's cool. This is not a thing. So again, we just like to yell about young people not caring as much as old people care, I guess. I don't know.
Old guys are not a monolith is what I'm hearing,
That's true. Yeah. Sure. Old guys are not a monolith. No.
Yeah.
No.
But take the old guys out of it for a second. Poch was really moved by what he seemed to be moved by what he viewed as the brotherhood that was created at the Gold Cup. He was in tears after the Mexico game. So, I mean, what do you make of that? Is that did something get accomplished there vibes wise? And then we can get off of vibes. We can move on from vibes.
Yeah, well, I mean, vibes are intangible. What makes them fun to talk about and frustrating.
Great talking point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, and for whatever I said about Argentine football culture versus American sports culture, I'm sure Poach needs those things to pull him deeper into what this is, right? Like, obviously, he played for his country. That's sort of like an easy, natural thing to care about because you're representing where you come from. He's a hired gun, and we're always gonna question whether or not hired guns really care. Everybody talks about no one's ever won the World Cup with a foreign manager. All right, well, what six countries have won a World Cup? Let's
Right.
not get too picky about that. But we that's not something we need to care about yet. Like we're
not there
okay.
yet. Yeah.
Yeah, we're okay. Like we get a foreign manager and we take one step forward. That's
Has a
pretty cool.
foreign manager ever taken a team to the quarterfinals? Is the real question.
I believe Goose Hitting took South Korea to the semis in 2002.
That's right.
But that was home, and that was a home nation. So you get that too. Like maybe Poach is, again, who knows, right? I don't know that it's a great data point to be like, look how bad Morocco was leading into 2022, and then look what they did at the World Cup, because that's just one bit of evidence that it can be done. But it does show that, like, whatever leads up to the World Cup, sometimes you kind of got to toss it out. But if Poach actually connected to something he didn't quite understand at the time, that's good. However, I was a little annoyed by him pushing back at the criticism in this window and the way he kind of framed it, because it felt to me like he was doing that thing like a lot of foreign soccer people do, which is kind of pat Americans on the head and say, well, you don't know what's going on here yet. Why don't you guys go leave me alone, because I'm the real soccer person in the room. And I don't love that. I still think he carries a little bit of that with him right now.
I don't like that either.
Nobody wants to be patronized. And I said this when I was like responding to all. I was going to write about it. I didn't get a chance to, but to me, it's like, if you win, you can do that. If you got the national team humming, you can say you can get upset about criticism. Now he was saying like something about he didn't like the criticism the players were getting. He was like, we should all be in this together, kumbaya. And Pablo Maurer took offense to this. Right? He was like, F that. We got to stop doing this thing, kumbaya. We're all support the national team thing. We need criticism. We need coaches to be answering hard questions, because that's how you push people to be better. I thought maybe Pablo was overreacting a bit, but I did see what he was talking about, which is this idea of like, why is Poach telling us to be like rah for our national team when he's talking about media people? Like, media people's their job is to say, what's going on? Why are you doing this? It didn't work. Can you fix it? And if he wasn't getting upset on his own behalf, if he was getting upset on the players' behalf, okay, I guess there's something to that. But if he was kind of upset on his own behalf, like, how dare you criticize me? Yeah, and that's not cool. You better be winning if you're going to do that. You better be winning. Like you better be playing great soccer for us to be like, okay, fine. Yeah, we'll stand back and let you do your thing.
Well, his wife was the one who gave the real truth of the matter. She said, why are you mad at these guys? These guys are nice compared to what you've dealt with in the past in your career.
Exactly.
The press corps is nice. I mean, it's so respectful of Poch. Like there's hardly any.
I know. I mean, we jump on these calls, Belz, and I'm like, so I have my wife is Puerto Rican. Her first language is Spanish. We have a 4-year-old. He's learning Spanish. His first language is Spanish. He'll get English, but he speaks Spanish. So I'm trying to learn. I got in-laws, so I'm trying to learn Spanish, and I'm fairly fluent. And I speak with my kid in Spanish. And I jump on these calls, and I hear some of these guys dropping in Spanish language questions, clearly in their second or third language. Not Spanish is not their native tongue. Shout out to Charlie Boehm, who did it this last one. And I'm like, respect for you, like putting yourself out there, because I get nervous as hell. Like, I'm the yo hablo español. Like, it's a thing. So yeah, we are nice. We're super nice.
Yeah, they're really nice. I mean, there's definitely some good questions asked, but it's not that combative.
No.
And
No.
Okay, a couple more questions from listeners. Chris from Kansas City says, even though I don't like it, Poch seems to be married to a 2-man central midfielder with 3-4 attackers ahead of them. Mm-hmm. Tyler Adams seems to be written in pen in one of those spots, even though I would like to maybe see a little more from him. Who and what skill set should we be prioritizing next to Tyler Adams?
Well, I mean, it was interesting to see Christian Roldan do his thing, right? Because he wasn't in the roster. He was an afterthought. He's a 30-year-old MLS player that lots of people don't rate, even though he's been really good in MLS. And what the difference was between what Berhalter brought alongside Tyler. Now, again, maybe it's not that Tyler should be written in ink. I don't know, but I do think that Tyler's defensive abilities are, and the amount of ground he covers are so next level. It's just got to be intoxicating for a coach. Like you're just thinking, like I can't. How do I choose not to have that guy with what he can do? Because you're thinking, I think by nature, almost every coach outside a handful are conservative at first. Like you work from a position of like, let's protect things
100%. Yeah.
before you get to let's attack things, right? And Tyler is just a natural piece that, like, if you're like building from not just from back to front, but if you're just building from how do we stabilize, like how do we make sure we're not just giving up chances, Tyler's your guy. But then you need somebody to complement Tyler because Tyler doesn't pass the ball. It just doesn't pass the ball. So if that's the case, what kind of player are you putting in there? And maybe Berhalter's just not the level. And I mean, honestly, we shouldn't be fast forwarding to Sebastian Berhalter being a World Cup player anyway.
I don't think he's to the level.
No, I don't think so either. And probably Christian Roldan isn't either, but he's a better passer of the ball. Like, he's a better connector. That's what it is, right? He's a better connector, Christian Roldan. And I do think he also has good instincts up the field and pushing into the attack. And I don't know, like, is there a player that replicates any of that? Like, I love Eunice. Thought Eunice would have advanced a little bit more. He's still very young, and maybe it was unfair to him. But Eunice has been a one-trick pony in the national team. You give the ball to Eunice, he drives it 30 yards forward, and he looks to lay it off. That's what he does.
Pretty much, yeah.
He doesn't have it. He doesn't even have that sort of, step on it, pause, look for the run in behind, or play a wall pass, or do any of that stuff. Like, he just doesn't do those things. So I don't know. I'd ask you guys. I mean, I know it was a question for me being on the show, but I'm curious, like, who you think is the skill set. Maybe again, like maybe it's not Tyler next to him, but it's kind of hard to imagine Tyler not starting at least the majority of games when it matters.
I think so I think we've ended up skipping that line of two so much.
Yeah.
And like build out and stuff that it's almost like you don't even necessarily need a connector there. Like it can be Weston. Like it can
Wouldn't
be.
You want one though?
Wouldn't
you want one?
You would want one, but it's like what it ends up being. I think what the role ends up being, if everything else is clicking, is that it's a low responsibility position that hopefully comes into play once we've already gotten past kind of like the first phase, like approaching the attack and third kind of thing. So I guess I say that to say like I think a lot of different midfielders could fit there because I think Pod just kind of de-emphasized that band of two when it comes to build out specifically.
Well, I mean, but you know, having somebody to play at least in combination, particularly when you're getting pressed along the sideline, and if you're going to play with wing backs, you got those players higher up the field, and you're going to want to get them on the ball. I don't know. I feel like you need somebody who understands how to step into those moments, and because what Tyler's going to do is he's going to if he's going to present, if he's going to show for the ball, he's going to play backwards. And then you're just going back to Tim Ream and asking Tim Ream to either cut out lines, I don't know,
or dump it. Yeah.
Or dump it. Yeah.
I mean, one thing Roldan gave us, I think, that Berhalter didn't, is a little bit more dynamism. Dynamism, the word of the day, but dynamism in the press and in like ball winning. You know, he's just a little more Johnny on the spot than Sebastian is, and more of a connector, like you said. So I guess taking his performance and what he did and trying to figure out who else could do that and maybe do it a little better, because I think the problem was with Christian was he was too messy with the ball, like especially in our defensive third. Like Greg said in our recap, the clock was ticking down too fast for him when he had the ball, and he didn't have a sense of like how to get rid of it quick enough. And so, I mean, they got like, remember that time when was it Ogawa just like rattled the crossbar? That was a Roldan giveaway.
Yeah.
And so I like Tessman.
It was good with that for sure. That I did note that too. Like it's as good as he was in the press, as you said, and as good as he was in some other areas, he did get caught in possession and give the ball away.
three times, something like that. And Tessman, I like Tessman. Does he provide the same bite that a Christian Roldan does? Like going against the ball?
Right.
He's getting better, but
you have out and out defenders there in Tyler and Johnny. and Johnny's never shown it for the national team for me. And I think Johnny in possession is a problem. I think Johnny's very good with the ball at his feet. And after that, yeah, I don't know. I like Aiden Morris a lot, and I think he's a pretty decent passer, but I don't know if he's the level. And he wasn't in this team. He wasn't called up for this group, which I don't know what that means exactly. And then we're all looking at October, and like it's like this looming thing, the October window, because if Poach is true to his word, and this was the last mess around window, then October is going to give us an idea of who he really thinks are going to be his guys. I mean, he won't have it in stone yet. Again, partially because of injury, but yeah.
Yeah, that October roster is everything. I mean, Johnny looks, just to go back to Aiden for a second, Aiden looks as good as anybody in the midfield right now. But I got my side eye for the championship right now because of the way Josh has looked.
Judging the whole division on Josh Sargent's scoring goal.
Well, it's not just not putting the ball in the back of the net; it's just being a non-factor against Korea. And I do think, I honestly do think, take Josh Sargent out of it completely. Ligue 1, they call it a farmers league. Some people do, but Ligue 1 is a legit top flight competition. I mean, those are this athletic opponents and intensity, and I think it's a clear level above the championship. And so when I see Tessman look pretty good, even in a loss for Lyon over the weekend, I kind of feel like he should get extra credit just for the league he's playing in, because it's harder to look good in the midfield for Lyon than it is in the midfield for Middlesbrough. That's
probably fair. Now. That's probably fair. I mean, I don't want to open up the giant can of worms that is whether or not your club form means all that much when you come into the national team. Not form. I guess you're not talking about form. You're talking about just like regular competition and the level that you play at. And I mean, I do think clearly that matters. Clearly it does. But does the sort of skill set and fit for the system matter more? And does that edge? I don't know that it edges Morris ahead of Tessman. I don't know. I don't know how you decide between those players, to be honest with you. And I don't
know. For all we
know,
neither of them is even in the.
And I'm trying to remember the 23 that, and again, we did 23 because even though it's probably 26, it's just traditional to do 23. And it forced us into difficult choices. I'm not sure I had either of them on my
I'm
roster.
looking at your 23 right now, Mr. Davis. And
I did that in the moment. Don't judge me on that if it's bad.
No, it's okay. It's okay. This is really impossible. But you don't have either of them. But the way I look at it, there are some tough choices. If you're going to bring 3 goalkeepers, 4 center backs, and 4 fullbacks, and it's a 23-man roster, then you got 12 spots.
Do you think so? This when I don't have it in front of me, and you do, so you're cheating. But I do think that there's some possibilities with, and this is all the choices that managers have to make going into World Cup. If you've got some versatility baked in, like again, the idea that Jedi plays center back in a back 3, or obviously Serginho can play both sides. Is there something where you don't have to take an extra body in a position group because you've got somebody who could do a couple different things? I wonder if that's a thing. But again, we talked about center back depth in order to play a back 3. If Jedi can play center back, then you don't need to bring another pure center back. I don't know what that means necessarily. Mark McKenzie, or again, I know there's some concern about winning the ball in the air with any of these guys. And if that's an issue, so I don't know if you're looking to bring somebody who's good in the air, even if they're not necessarily the most dynamic player in the back 3. But that. So when we talk about like four, you say 4 fullbacks, Belz. Like I don't know, is there really going to be 4 fullbacks in this team?
Okay, let's say there are 3 fullbacks. Then you can, I think at most you can bring 7 midfielders. And I know you did this just on your own show recently, but let's talk about who those 7 midfielders might be, because it seems to me, and I think you agree, Adams is a lock.
Yeah.
Malik Tillman is probably a lock.
Should be, yeah.
He's a lock for sure.
Tillman's a lock.
I think he has thoughts about him and stuff like it.
I do. Yeah, I think the glow up over the summer was intense for Tillman, and he showed me something because I hadn't seen it, and I do think he has this bearing about him. Talking about intangibles, he presents as a guy who isn't high effort, like just the way he carries himself. Like he's kind of got. I think I said he kind of has he's got a resting like a resting face that just doesn't inspire you. Like he always looks like he's about to cry on some level. I feel bad saying it, but it came out a couple times over the summer, and I'm like, man, you don't like. I think the way he took the penalty, right? Man, I don't know. I'm thinking about him. I like him a lot. Really want to see him level up, but he's definitely in this team. You're right about that.
Okay, so we got 2 locks out of a potential, like potentially 7 midfielders. Is what I know you had this conversation already, but let's do it again. Is Weston a lock?
I think he has to be. I mean, the talent alone makes him a lock for me. I don't know what, again, being left out, what that means. We know him. We know Weston, read between the lines if you want, I guess. But I don't think, as long as he's not coming in completely cold and he is getting minutes with Juve, he has to be in the team, doesn't he? And he does a lot of things really well.
Oh, he's a lock. And I think Poch is gonna bring him in October, and it's gonna be curtains on that whole discussion. Reyna started over the weekend.
Yeah, he did. I didn't get a chance to watch that full game. I read your notes. I watched a little bit of it when I was in Albuquerque. Obviously not a good result for them. Yeah. So kind of putting that in the context. I did like this note about his top speed, which is like an offensive lineman. So I don't know, man. The most maddening player we have had. Not to make it about the past, but I can't remember a player where I was so excited and so high on him, only to have the gap between that and where he's at be this big. We had guys get injured. Like other players go, and everybody's all Freddie you do. Nah, man. Like that really wasn't what Freddie's story was. But it just
he just started a game in the Bundesliga.
There's every reason to think that he'll have a runway, right? That's what you're saying, right, Belz? Like there's a runway here.
Well, I'm not arguing specifically with you. I'm just arguing with like the general opinion of him. It's not like he's fallen that far. He doesn't play that much. He didn't play that much last year. He was the best player for the national team at our last successful.
Well, can I break in with some news here, Belz, that may be pertinent to this discussion? It seems as though he'll have a new manager starting next weekend.
Okay,
like Gladbach's made a choice. So
that doesn't surprise me. That was an atrocious team performance from them.
Does that change any of your thoughts about? Look, Gio's talent.
I think he was the best player for Gladbach on the field yesterday, and again, not saying much, but I think anybody who comes in to manage them is going to want to, if at all possible, get him involved.
You could argue at Dortmund there were options ahead of him. Okay, fine,
sure,
whatever. I guess, right? But it just everybody keeps pointing to, well, the evidence is building that no matter who he plays under, they find a reason not to start him or not to give him significant minutes. And maybe that won't be the case with the next boss at Gladbach. I don't know, right? Gladbach obviously made a choice to get Gio. So at least in terms of the sporting director, they shows we're going to invest in Gio Reyna because we still see it. And he's not like he's still a young player. It's not I don't think he's developing anymore, but it's just that question of whether or not he can apply the tools he has at the top level. And I'm glad it's Gladbach and not Parma, because that wouldn't have given us really a whole lot to go on, even if he played minutes for that club. Because I just think the way that they would have to play, or the way they do have to play in Serie A, would make it really tough to pick him out and go, okay, we see it here.
Yeah.
So maybe, although Gladbach is bad, so there's that. I want it to happen because so the question around Gio is the same question I would have around Diego Luna, and the same question I would have around Alejandro Zendejas after what we saw. Right. We loved the goal. Great goal. And I think Zendejas is capable of that on occasion. He's obviously very good in Mexico. Diego Luna looks great when you watch him, not from an effort level, clearly. He has a bag of tricks. It doesn't always work, but when it does, like, oh, damn, I can see it. Like he's a spark, right? He's the X factor. And we don't have a ton of those. Right? We know the Christian level. You got to get him the ball in the right places for it to work, but we know the Christian level. After that, for attacking players, who's like the X factor? Who's the guy who's going to like scruff of the neck for a chance or an opportunity or a goal when you really need it? And I don't know that. I think that can be Gio, I want it to be Gio.
I think we all think that is Gio if he's firing Vince.
Well, first of all, it's Ballo. You know, I'm going and throwing this.
Okay.
I'm throwing this hat in the ring right now, staking my claim. Just because of, once again, the fit of player and system is just so perfect.
Well, I also think that, so this is the thing about Gio that I always talked about. Like, Gio's a dick on the field. He wants the ball. He thinks he's open. Remember there was was it the Mexico game or some game where he was like bracketed by 4 guys and he's got his hand in the air like, give me the ball. It's like, Gio, you're not open. Like, what are you talking about? But I want that. Like, I don't know that we have a ton of that either. Like the guy who's like, I talked about Malik Tillman being a nice guy or looking like he's always kind of dealing with something emotionally. He's a good player. And this is, again, coming back to intangibles. And I'm kind of talking about stuff that we've already covered. But there is something to be said for having a dog on the field. And even though Diego Luna's he's a really nice guy. He's got that dog thing. And I think Ballo has it too. I think Ballo thinks he's the shit. I think he thinks he's really good. And we kind of need guys who think, and Gio does too. So, yeah.
To that point about Ballo, he missed a couple chances over the weekend. Like, cut it. One time he took a throw in. It was actually a really nice play. Took a throw in, turned a guy, came across the top of the box, and just skied a shot over. Minamino and Beereth were both open across the box for a pretty easy square. And he just turned and looked at him cold. like what you gonna say?
But that's the thing. So, system and all and skill set. You want your striker to be that guy. You do. Again, I mean, play the smart ball if it's going to be an easy tap in. But I don't blame guys. Shoot or shoot. Like, I don't blame guys for taking shots if that's what they've been told their whole life. This is your job. Go score the goal. So, yeah.
All right. So Reyna, not a lock. Is that where we're landing on that?
I can't put him in as a lock.
What about you, Vince?
I'm projecting here. He wouldn't have been a lock before he started playing. I think Poch has made that clear. But Gladbach seems very invested in getting Gio Reyna as many minutes as his hamstrings can hold, baby. So with that happening, I there's no way where I see Gio Reyna playing regularly at club and him not being a lock on the national team. I'll put it there.
Okay. All right. I mean, again, the talent is in terms of like the most talented players we've got. He's so high on that list that I can see the argument. I can see it.
Top 3 or 4, probably easily.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then we got, so if you can agree, just for the sake of argument, that Reyna would come if he's healthy, that's 4 midfielders. And then you got Musa, Cardoso, Tessman, Morris, Roldan, and De La Torre fighting for 3 spots.
Yeah. I wonder, because of that connector thing, I wonder if De La Torre has an inside track here. I know people downgraded him a bit because he moved to MLS, but he's been good. He is good with the ball in a way that a lot of those guys aren't. But it is a tough battle. I mean, he's not the most dynamic player. If we're going back to that word again, Belz, is De La Torre. So I don't know what you think that pecking order looks like.
I'll tell you how I would do it. I'm bringing Musa, come hell or high water. I know he's a bit of a one-trick pony, but that one trick is, it's
he's
you need.
He's also, so some of this is that it's based on the fact that he hasn't been playing a ton.
Yeah.
And I think Poach did him dirty a couple times. That made him
out of wing.
Yeah. Come on, Jason. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Did him real dirty. Like, that's not, nobody thought he was going to succeed in that spot. And he played as a winger at Villarreal or whatever. It's like, no, was it Valencia?
Valencia. Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. Get my V's mixed up. Valencia. Right. He played winger at Valencia. Yeah, but not that way. He didn't play winger. Like, so I think if you use him properly, he could definitely be useful. And, again, if we're not talking about Yunus Musa as a starter, although we all remember MMA working so well together, I can see him as a lock. You couldn't convince me he's a starter right now.
Mm-mm.
Exactly. But I think he's probably in this team because he's got experience. Like, he's got experience in competition with the U.S. at a level that a lot of these players don't. Like there is something about like, is there a trust level thing for Poach with a Morris or with a Tessman maybe? Whereas Musa, despite his age, is a veteran of this team. Those guys know him too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a factor. I mean, Atalanta plays at PSG on Wednesday. Champions League kicks off. And so there's going to be a lot of minutes to go around. They got the entire group stage ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's going to play.
You would think so. I don't trust Ivan Juric very much though.
Why? I don't know. I don't understand that.
He's been kind of this all Italian, all the guys who work in Italy. He's not Italian, he's Croatian, but all the guys who work in Italy are just bouncing all over the place all the time.
Yeah.
He was out Southampton last year, and he lasted about 4 months.
Oh, that was a disastrous campaign.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. He was at Roma before they took over. I believe he took over for De Rossi after De Rossi got fired, after Mourinho got fired, and he was at Roma for, I think he got fired within a month at Roma, month and a half, something like that. Like he plays some pretty dire stuff, which is wild for Atalanta to hire him because Gasperini was not that guy. So I don't know exactly what that means for Younes playing at Atalanta. I mean, if it's more minutes than he was going to get at Milan, then who cares? I guess on some level.
He was in the midfield over the weekend off the bench. Were you going to say that, Vince? Yeah.
Playing in the midfield, right in the middle of it. And he got the number 6 kit, but before you threw all the dirt on Mr. Juric's name, Jason Davis, so I was going to say, I like this guy because, a lot of the times, as you alluded to before, managers like to play games with Younes, put him out wide or whatever, despite never having any performance that has ever moved me at a wing back position or whatever. But anyway, he's starting off in the midfield. So Juric, he's on my good side right now.
Okay. I mean, it will look, until proven otherwise. I guess you just got to give him the benefit of the doubt. So what? Quarter hour for Younes in the midfield is a step forward for Younes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, fair, totally fair. So for me, Musa comes to the World Cup, and then, you got to figure out, do you want to bring Tessman, Cardoso, Morris, or probably Luna would be the other one for me. And
there are different profiles there. So
I know. Well, do you need it? I guess if you have Reina and Tillman, do you need another number 10? Probably not.
Probably not.
So
no, that's the thing. Like, I think if Gio makes this team, that's bad news for Diego Luna.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like
McGlynn is also in the mix. I forgot to mention him.
So that is an interesting one. I think I maybe put him on my 23, but and I recognize that I'm a victim of the moment here, like recency bias in full effect. But
I love Jack McGlynn. I hope he makes it 23.
He's got something, right? And again, that left foot is like a weapon that a lot of teams would kill for, just to be able to put him on again for the last 15 minutes or something and let him get, I mean, the way they set him up on that left foot against Japan, it was pretty sweet. It was pretty sweet.
That brought me out of my couch, up off my couch for sure.
Again, he doesn't give you a ton sort of up and down the field. He's not going to cover a ton of ground, but he pops up in good spots to get on that left foot. And I think he's got good instincts. And we've seen some pretty killer set piece service from him too, which is a weapon. So
yeah. I mean, I'd love to see him.
One more thing on McGlynn. Do you read Poach falling in love with McGlynn in a similar way he fell in love with Arfston? Or is that an overstatement?
No, okay. I don't.
Okay.
Do you, Vince?
Not really, no.
Okay.
No. Just because, I mean, when you talk about minutes given to each specific player, McGlynn kind of, I don't want to say fell out of favor during the Gold Cup, but maybe he does love him in that super sub role though, because it's stayed throughout the Gold Cup into this camp. So I'd say it's a possibility, but yeah, there hasn't been any, I guess because there hasn't been any opportunity for it, but there hasn't been any glowing praise for Jack McGlynn the way he's talked about, Max Arfston or Malik Tillman so far.
That thing about Jack having that magic left foot is, I mean, it matters. If he gets the ball anywhere within 35 yards of the goal, there's a chance he can score, and or put drop a dime on somebody's head or something. So, I mean, it is important.
Poach does that thing where if anybody has a decent showing in the post game, he's gonna talk him up a bit. So I know he's done a little bit of that with Jack, but I guess it's a matter of like whether you read that as of the moment and sort of ephemeral, or if it's like it's sticking with him and he's going to carry that forward. And also, of course, it matters who else is in contention. And again, if you're talking about building a World Cup roster, do you want 3 players who do basically the same thing, or do you want maybe a guy who does this and a guy who's somewhat similar, and then a guy who does something completely different but sort of fills the same space or plays in the same pockets?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think Jack is an option for that. Diego Luna is also an option for that. But as you said, he kind of fits more the 10 profile. And if you've got Gio and Malik, you don't really need Diego Luna.
So you probably need to bring one of Cardoso, Tessman, or Morris at least.
Yeah.
Who's your choice of from those 3? It'll change. Our opinions will change over the next 2 weeks.
Well, again, like I never come away from watching Johnny play and think, oh, he looks great for the national team, or he looks even, and I know like that's a spot where if you are standing out, it's not always great. Clearly, Tyler jumps off the screen because of just how athletic he is.
Yeah,
which I mean, which might also give you a sense that he's better on a day than he really is. But also, we talked about the give and take. You're going to get that from Tyler, and then he's just going to be a black hole when the ball gets to him, and we're not going to get anything going forward out of him. Johnny is probably better in that regard, but I guess I'm always wondering if there's something in the way La Liga teams play or the setup that's around him. And I don't think he's looked fantastic for Atleti yet.
Got benched over the weekend.
Yeah, see, that's a bad sign. And they
got their first result. I think
they got their first win of the season. Yeah, without him in the lineup after an incredibly bad start, like to the point, like I was like, oh, the title race is over for Atletico Madrid. 3 matches into the season, and I kind of adopted them when I went to Spain last year. I got a shirt and everything. I was like, oh, okay, I'm jumping on board Atleti because I don't want to be a front runner with Barcelona and Real Madrid. And they're letting me down.
A true man of the people, Jason.
Yeah. Oh, trying to be, trying to be. But yeah, if he's not, I know Simeone likes Barrios in the midfield. Koke is 33 and probably slowing down. But if you're losing out to him against a team, a decent team in Villarreal, I don't know. Does that bode poorly for him? And then, of course, what does it look like in the national team picture? Like Josh Sargent can go score a ton of goals for Norwich, be player of the month in the championship, and then it just doesn't work for the national team. It doesn't mean he's a bad player. It just means he's not the international we need. That could be Johnny Cardoso too. So, but that I don't know. That means that he loses out to Aiden Morris or Tanner Tessman. I don't know.
I don't either. Gun to my head, I'm taking Tessman right now.
I think I get the sense you like Tessman, right? Yeah. Okay.
But barely. I mean, I don't feel that strongly about it.
Vince, you want to chime in?
I mean, I as much as I love Tanner, I've started a whole fan group, Jason, over my love for Tanner.
Okay.
But I think I'm still going Johnny.
Is that just because of the level he plays at? Or is Johnny a better defender than Tanner is? And so if you're going to back up Tyler, then that's the guy?
He is a better defender, yes. On his best days, I'm not going to say on his best days, Johnny looks pretty slick. And it's just all about hopefully getting that out for the national team.
Yeah.
Now, to be clear, if we don't get any better performances between now and the World Cup, then I'd probably look at taking somebody else, because I really do think he's like in his head now, and like looking at his face after that last mistake in Turkey, it was just like, man, he wanted to be anywhere else but that soccer pitch at that moment, and he kind of disappeared from the pitch for like the rest of that half anyway. But yeah, I believe in the talent. I believe in the talent, man. I've watched a lot of Johnny Cardoso. I think he's a good player.
I think we're making an argument that talent matters. If we're going to put Gio, if we're even going to, imagine Gio in the team, it's because of talent, not because of anything else. And Johnny would be the same bet. It's just funny that Johnny gets that benefit of the doubt and Josh Sargent's not getting it at all.
I do think there's some parallels there. I think Josh is in his head when he comes and plays for the national team. But Ballow's not in his head. And I don't know that anybody has sort of announced himself the way Ballow has at striker as a partner with Tyler.
That's fair.
Outside of
That's
Weston
fair.
McKennie. Outside of Weston McKennie.
That's fair.
Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you.